All right, good morning, everybody. Today is day 68, I believe. And let me get back to this. There we go. Now, I just got off the phone with my counterpart, Evan Gudmested, who teaches this same course at the St. Louis campus. And kind of an update type of meeting. He asked where I was, and I said, well, I've gone through now chapter 15, and I was going to do 16 today, and then 17 and 18 tomorrow. He said, oh, well, that's fine. And I said, just the way he said it was a little bit weird. So basically, I said, well, what's going on? I said, what happened with you? And he said, basically, what he did, which is very different from what I've been doing, all right, is he said that he went through the first 11 chapters, and then he spent like a period where he talked about numbers, strings, dates, control structures, expressions, web storage, and arrays. And I said, well, what did you do the rest of the time? And he said, basically, we did a React project, all right, to try to get people ready for the next class. I was like, whoa, I was going to spend like a period on React and have them do a project together. And he didn't seem to be real thrilled about me doing it that way. Well, I'm going to take the hit on that for he and I not getting together better. And he said, well, the way you're doing it is the way that I did it a couple years ago, going over all this stuff, etc. All right. So this is what I am going to do. And Grant, I'll tell you this, you're more than welcome to stay on, but after I tell you this, you might want to drop off for today, and that's totally up to you. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just canceling all the homework from chapters 12 through 16. All right, I've gone through some examples from 12. I've gone through some examples from 13. All right, we've lectured through chapter 15. Now, in that section, now this is my opinion. I don't know if Evan would agree or disagree with me, but in this whole section 3 that's in here, to me, the most important thing that they went through that you would use in virtually any language you'd be working with is the array stuff in chapter 15. All right. So what I am going to do is not right now, but I am going to go through. If we go back here and we look, let me grab this. All right. In chapter 15, the only program that I thought was kind of worth looking at was this one. And you've seen this before, where you put in names and scores and you add them. And then in here, it's going to end up putting everything and etc. Well, it does go through some array concepts, and that's fine. All right. But I will go through that one, not right this second, but I will go through that one. But what I think I'm going to do then for the rest of this week is only lecture for about an hour for each class. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over those of you who will be in the C# class next semester or this summer. I'm going to go through what you're going to have to do and what that class is going to be about. Then tomorrow, I'm going to do a similar thing, but for those of you who will be taking the class with Evan in summer, the AWD1100 database-driven web development. So you can see what's going on in there. All right. So like I said, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go over just for a while, just kind of talk at you. All right. And let you see the type of stuff that we're going to do in the C# class. And that's why I said, Grant, feel free to stick around. Feel free to leave because you've taken the class already. We are going to be using the new version of the book. They meaning Muroc, has just come out with a new version of the book. And in fact, yesterday is when I finally got access. So this is the one that we used last year. All right. which was Muroc C# 7th edition. Well, now we're using the 8th edition. It's the newest, it's the latest and greatest. All right. Now, the plan for that book, the plan is to go through the entire textbook. Now, if you start taking a look at what's in there, you'll notice there's 22 chapters, and you might be like, wow, 22 chapters, like 750 pages? How are you going to do that, especially in the summer? Well, believe it or not, we go through chapters 1 through 11 in the class fairly quickly. Now, as of right now, there's about a half dozen people in that class. Out of those half dozen people, I think half of them this will be their first class. So on the first day of class, we're going to again have to go over Git, how to set it up, what GitHub is, have people set up a GitHub account, etc., and probably have those people send me a copy of something just so I'm sure that it all works. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do that on day one. Plus, we'll talk about Visual Studio. Visual Studio is the software that you will be using for that class. So if I go out to Visual Studio, this is not Visual Studio Code, it's something different. But if I go out to visualstudio.com/download, all right, and I can just go to visualstudio.com as well and get there. But what we use is this community download. All right. Now, it's going to be a little tough just because of the fact I already have it on my machine. And what I've done in the past is I've uninstalled it, then reinstalled it with a class, and usually I mess it up. All right. So I'm going to have you do this and click the free download. You don't want the free trial for professional enterprise. What this is in the free community edition, literally, you get about 90% of what's in these other two that you pay for. What's in here is a bunch of stuff for being able to write reports and do other stuff that we wouldn't cover anyway. All right. So, like I said, you will come in here and you will do this. What you'll see when you do that after you've done the install, and again, we'll walk through it as a class, but what you will see in here then, what you will see is what we will have in here is a different icon. It'll look a lot like the Visual Studio Code icon, except it's purple. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to bring up Visual Studio. This is what it will look like when we get started. Not this, don't worry about that. But I'm going to come in here and just start up a new Visual Studio project so you can see it. So it'll be Visual Studio 2022. This is the opening screen. Now I've got a bunch of stuff that I've created here. You, of course, won't have that stuff. So your area in here will be empty. All right. But what I'm going to do fairly quickly is I'm going to build a couple applications for you. All right. So that you can see the kind of thing that we're going to do. The applications that I build will be simple. All right. One of the things that we'll do almost when we get started is we'll go back to this rock, paper, scissors game that we have, and we'll build it twice. Once in what's called a console format, which means it's non-graphical. All right. So when you run it, it'll look a lot like this. It'll be run from a command line, so it won't look very pretty. Then we'll go back and we will rewrite it as a graphical user interface or GUI application. So let me write a couple of these for you right now. All right. They're going to be very simple. If it makes little to no sense, really and truly, don't let it bother you. All right. So this is how we're going to start basically on day one. Once we get all the software loaded, once we've talked about Git and GitHub, we're going to come in here, we're going to click create a new project. And there's a whole bunch here that we can create from. All right. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in C# console, just like that. All right. And there's a couple things that will come up. It'll say console app, a project for creating a command line that can run on .NET. And then it'll say console app.NET framework. And technically, either one of these should work. But you do want one that says C#. I'm going to just choose that first one right there. All right. And now it says, okay, what do you want to call it? Where are you going to store it? And what do you want to call basically what's known as the solution? Now that's probably very confusing. So let me write a simple program that'll ask you your name. And after it asks you your name, it'll just come back and say hello followed by your name. All right. So I'm going to create a blank folder here that I'm just going to call hello. All right. Right on my desktop, I just made a folder called hello. All right. So I'm going to call this is going to be a console app. So I'm going to call this hello console. Okay. I'm going to save it and I'm going to tell it that I want it on the desktop into a folder called hello. All right. And the name of my project is hello console. So let's call this for the project name, hello console project. And we will call this for the solution, hello console. Let's see. Let's just call this hello. Okay. So this will be hello console. We won't even need the project. We'll call this hello console. All right. And it's going to be saved in a folder called hello. And the solution will be called hello. So I'm going to click next. And it's going to create a bunch of stuff for me. There we go. All right. Now you look at this and you're like, well, what the heck is that? All right. Well, I can tell by looking at it, the first thing is, all right, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to start all over again. I'm going to get rid of the hello folder. I'm going to all that. Why? Because I think that when I had you build this, all right, when we chose the type, I should have chose the other type. So let me try it again. Let's pretend this didn't even happen. So I'm going to create a new folder that's called hello. There it is. I'm going to go into Visual Studio, create a new project. All right, come up here, type in C# console, but I'm going to choose the one for the .NET framework, this one, C# console app, .NET framework, C#. I'm going to click on that. I can either click on it and then click next, or I can double click on it. And again, it asks me the name, and I'm going to call this hello console. All right, I'm going to save this into my folder on my desktop called hello. And I'm going to call my solution hello. All right, and now I'm going to click create. That's what I wanted. All right, now I'm going over a ton of junk. None of it may make any sense to you right now. Believe it or not, that's okay. All right. What I want to do, if all I want to do is ask you your name, okay? So if all I want to do is ask you your name, I can come in here and say, let's say string name equal, we'll just say string name. All right, like that. And then I'm going to say console dot read line. What is your name? Like that. Console dot read line. What is your name? And you'll notice that when I do this, here and it's saying it's giving me some errors. It says there's nothing for this that takes, all right, because I don't want to say a read line, I want to say a write line. So write line. So console.writeLine, and it says, what is your name? So literally what's going to appear on the screen here is, what is your name? Okay. Then I'm going to say name equal read line. All right. And not read line, it'll have to be console.readLine. All right. And then finally, I'm going to do another write line that says, hello plus your name. Okay. Now, do I expect a lot of that to make sense? I expect less of it to make sense. First of all, you'll notice up on top, I've got these things here that say using. And you'll notice that this one is dark and all of these are gray, which means that none of these are being used. So technically we can leave them there. It doesn't hurt anything, or we can remove them. And that's what I did. All right. When we created our project, remember, we created something that it asked us basically for the name of the project. And we said, hello console. Well, then it created this folder here that says hello console, and it's got some stuff in it. The stuff we care about for right now is this file program.cs, because that's this. All right. So all we're telling it right here is to create a brand new variable called name. All right. Then we are asking the user, what is your name? Then we are reading in the value for their name, and we're writing back out here, hello, followed by the name. Let's see if this works. Now, the problem is if we run it like this, it's going to work, but what's going to happen is the text is going to disappear right off the screen. So we need another console.readLine so that it stops. Okay, so let me save this. And to run it, as you see that it says start here, just click that green arrow. And notice it says, what is your name? All right, I should have used a write instead of a write line because I went on a new line here, but that's okay. So Jeff, hello, Jeff. And I hit enter, boom. Let's change this from a console.write line to a console.write. What is your name? Now when I run this, notice it keeps it on the same line. So what is your name? I'll put my entire name in there. And it comes back and it just echoes hello for me. Nothing big there. And again, if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. We're going to go over every bit of this. All right. Let's make another project that's like this. All right. But instead of it being a console project, let's make it a GUI project. All right. So I'm going to right mouse click here where it says solution hello. I'm going to click add and new project. And now I don't want an ASP.NET. I don't want a console project. No, I want a GUI project. So can I type in C# GUI? All right. And what does it give me? Oh, it gives me a whole bunch of stuff in here. Okay, let's see. It's been a while. We want a Forms app. So C# form. Okay. Now there's Windows Forms app. There's Windows Forms app.net for C#. So we want that one. I'm going to double click on that. And now we're going to call this, the other one was Hello Console. This will be called Hello GUI. It's going to be saved in the same big folder, that Hello folder. And I can click Create. And now I get this. This is a form. All right. And I'm going to draw some stuff on it. But first, let's pretty it up a little bit. All right. So what happened to... There we go. Here we are. So the first thing I want to do is let's change the background color. Okay. So I'm going to do that right now. And we'll just make it turquoise. That's all we had to do. I'm going to create what are called three or a couple labels. Okay. So let me put a label out there, and this is going to ask for your name. And I'm going to have another label, and that's going to say hello followed by your name. Now you'll notice when I look at these, they're hard to see because they're transparent. They're the same color as the background. So let's change the color of the labels. I'm highlighting them both, and I'm going to the color, and I'm going to just make them white. Now it's a little easier to see them. Problem though is they're very small. So I'm going to click on the first one here. And I'm going to go over here where it says auto ellipsis. And I'm going to double click, and now I can make it any size I want. Sorry, it wasn't auto ellipsis, it's auto size. There we go. So I'm going to put in exactly what we had before. And that is, we're going to put in here, what is your name? In fact, let's do this. All right, I'm just going to make a copy of that. So this will say, what is your name? And then we need what's called a text box to actually put our name in there. All right, we'll make that a little bigger, and it'll be a little wider in just a minute. So in here, we're just going to literally type in some text. This is all stuff that we're going to go over in class, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to put in here literally for my text, what is your name? Like that. Now that's very hard to read because it's very small. So we can change the size of this. Oh, let's make it about 26 and bold and make it a nice Arial font. And that's a little easier to read now. Maybe that was too big. So let's change it from 26 to like 22. Still is a little big. There you go. What is your name? So there that is. All right. Now in here is where we want to run the program and have the person's name. We want to be able to actually type it in there. Okay. Well, the first thing is we want to make that so it's the same size. This was 22, and we'll make that 22. And you can see that's pretty big now. Okay, and we're going to name that. And finally, in here is where we'll want it to print hello followed by the person's name. All right. So again, we'll change the size of this so it's nice and big. All right, when we run the program that where it says label 2 there, we don't want anything there, so let's remove that. All right. Finally, we want to put in a couple buttons here. This will be the first one, and when we click it, what we'll want is whatever is in here and whatever is in here, we'll want it to disappear, and we'll want our cursor to be flashing right there. All right, so we'll do that one in just a moment. First, again, let me make this bigger. All right, I don't want it to say button 1. We'll call it say hello. All right, so let's put in there say hello. Okay, and then we'll create another button. In fact, let's make 3 buttons. Now they all look the same, but we'll change them in just a second. All right. So one will be say hello. And that's when we put something in here and then click this button, it should say hello followed by whatever we put in there. Okay. So we'll do that in a moment. Then this one will be called clear. All right. We'll put in the text there that'll say clear. And finally, this one will say exit. All right. And even though this may sound unbelievably difficult, within a week or two, this is going to make a lot of sense to you. And you'll think, oh, this isn't even hard. All right, I'm going to lock my interface into place. So now when it runs, this is what it'll look like. All right, when I click say hello, all right, I'll want it to come up and take whatever is in here and say hello, followed by that, and put it in there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come in here and say if you put nothing in there, all right, I'm just going to put in a message that says, um, okay. So just to show you what I've done is let's run this. So let me save it and run it. Oops. Still trying to run my old one, so I have to tell it to run this one. There it is. There's nothing in there. When I click say hello, it gives me a message that says, hey, you must put in a name, no input. And it brings me right back there. So that's working. All right. Else, uh, okay. So let's see if that works. So now if I put something in here, Jeff, and I click say hello, hello, Jeff. Okay, well, that works. Again, if I run it again and put nothing in there, I get that message, no input. But I want to click clear and have that disappear and my cursor go there. Okay. So let's see if that works. So I come in here and I put in some garbage. I say hello. I click clear. That disappeared, and there's my cursor. Okay. And finally, let's put in some code for that button that says exit. All right. And let's see if I've still got that code in there. Um, There it is. Right, we move that over. Okay. Now it says, do you really want to exit the program? If I say no, I stay in it. If I say yes, the program's been exited. Let me add a couple more things to this to pretty it up a little. And after I do that, I'm just going to talk to you for about 10 or 15 minutes about what the class is all about. Now, I may have turned you off to this already. Not at all my intention. All right. This stuff, believe it or not, the stuff that's in here really and truly is not that difficult. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I want to tell it my start position. I want this to start right in the center of the screen. That's what that'll do. Plus, I want to do a couple more things in here. I want this button to say hello. I want that to be my default button. So what's called my accept button. So if I just hit enter, that code that's going to run. I want the clear button to be what's called my cancel button. So if I change my mind and I hit the escape key, then that'll run. All right. Then I want to set it up so literally, if somebody wanted to tab their way through here, they would go to here, then to here, then to here, then to here. We don't worry about these labels. So I want my tab order to be here, then here, then here, then here. So I can go to view and tab order and make that 0, 1, 2, 3. We don't even care about these, so we can make them 4 and 5, but we don't care. And do another view tab order. Let's run the program again. Looks a lot nicer now because it's in the middle of the screen. Okay, so again, I'll write in. Okay, and there's my hello. There's my clear. All right, there's my exit. And if I don't want to exit, or if I do want to exit. So you see, hopefully, just by spending not even a half an hour on this, all right, and going through, all right, you're starting to see hopefully how to write this. And why did I even do this? Well, what I want you to understand is, first of all, some of you are going to come into this class and you're going to have an understanding of what programming is about because you are currently in the AWD1000 Web Development Technologies class. Some of you are going to come into this and this is your first jump into programming, period. Maybe it's your first class at Rankin, and you may be very confused. I have to teach as though the people who are in the class have little to no experience with this stuff. And that's how the class is taught. So if I come back here, all right, and I go in, let's see. I want to grab the newer one. There it is. All right. So half the class right now, half the people who have signed up for the class this summer are currently in this class. I don't want to read it to you. You can see this. If the first class that you take at Rankin is the one you will take this summer, Programming Fundamentals with C#, then you will take the class above it, the one that's in gray, you'll take that in fall. If you're in this class now, right now, then you will take this one this summer, and then come fall, you will take this class. If you've already completed both of these by the end of this semester, then this summer you will take this class. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right. But if we look at this class, it says this course offers an introduction to writing programs that demonstrate the C# programming language. Don't even worry about object-oriented. That's not until chapter 12. So it's about halfway into the semester. Students develop key programming concepts and logic focused on problem-solving skills that will translate to real-world application in English. We build a lot of business-oriented applications. In fact, what we're going to begin building in week 1 is an actual complete payroll system. All right. This course will also help students begin to understand and demonstrate code debugging skills. Hands-on applications, that's what I was showing you right now, will allow students to get the foundation needed for application development. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to give a similar type of thing for the AWD1100 class. And I'm going to do that in a little different way. I'm first going to go over chapter 19 of our textbook. All right. And then I'm going to start talking about this class. All right. Finally, so Friday will be a lab, and really, it might be the last lab we have. All right. Next week, we will begin writing a project in what's called React. And don't worry about that right now. That is something no one has any experience in, and we'll work on that together. All right. Next week as a class. All right. So the last thing that I want to tell you is, and I'm going to put this down right here, right here. And I want to put it in nice big letters. Tomorrow. Let's do it like this. Well, I'll fix that in a bit. So tomorrow, Thursday, and Thursday is 4/20. I had already said that Friday would be a lab day, so. I'll just leave it right there. You are all going to get an email today that's going to basically say this, but not in all caps, because I don't know why I had the caps lock on. But I spoke to Mr. Gudmested today, and he did not give students any work in the Muroc textbooks to do after chapter 12. So even though I've already lectured on 12, 13, and 14, I'm just like 12 to 15. Skip 16, 17, and 18. All right. Tomorrow, I'll give a brief introduction to the AWD 1111 class. All right. And lecture on chapter 19, because that will lead into that class. And then starting Monday of next week, we're going to do one or more React projects as a class. Will you have to turn those in? We'll talk about those at that time. All right. Sorry, you know, like I said, I had about a half an hour meeting with Mr. G this morning. This isn't the way I planned on doing this, but this is the way I am going to do it. So I will talk to you soon. You will all get this in an email a little bit later on today. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.